Where can I get the... Hey, get off me. All right, people, let's do another play day. Yes, it's one of those play days. There's no customs to be seen. This is just me opening up old stuff. So, figure fodder, lightning round, catch-up day, mustard day, whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to open some things that have been sitting on the shelf for a bit. Some longer than others. This Target exclusive Marvel Legends retro carded Professor X is fairly new. Same for this Target exclusive Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Andor Range Trooper. In fact, did they come out about the same time? It was this year. I know that. Same for this Walmart exclusive Star Wars Black Series Clone Commander Cody. That showed up in the past few months, and I was gonna skip it, but then people were like, no, it's different than the Cody you already have. And I thought, well, okay, I guess I'll give it a shot. I'm not sure if Warbird is exclusive somewhere. I've seen her online, and I think that's where I got her. Again, it's been a little bit since some of these showed up. But then the Marvel Legends Spider-Man retro carded Prowler and Venom are older Walmart exclusives. Prowler was another one of those I was gonna skip. I have a Prowler, but then this went on clearance, went for pretty cheap, and I ordered it. And Walmart was kind of like, oh yeah, you think you can get cheap stuff from us? Take that. And I'm just like, I'm gonna open it anyway. Ha ha, joke's on you. I also skipped the Venom the first time around. I don't remember if it was because it sold out or I missed something, but I came back around more recently, and yes, the price was a little higher on Walmart, but I thought it's time, breakdown, get a good Marvel Legends Venom. But then I've also got two bonus items I want to crack open that I've had. Well, okay. This McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Western World Batman. It was just sitting in the electronics at Walmart, and I thought, well, it's Batman, and it's a cowboy. I gotta get it. Same goes for the Shredder. Well, except for it not being Batman or a cowboy. But it was in the Walmart electronics section. I've been picking up the NECA Archie Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so I thought, well, I need a Shredder to go with those, right? Yeah. So really, when it comes down to it, I can call this a Walmart and Target play day, but it's mostly Star Wars and Marvel Legends with a little bit of DC and a little bit of TMNT. Starting with Prowler, because I feel like this is the oldest, although I may be wrong about that. Again, sometimes I get packages, they go on the shelf, they go on the rack, and it's just like, oh, a couple months later, I need to open that at some point. And then here we are, play day. And but getting them out of the package, oh man, I love how bright the colors are here. The greens and, well, the two greens and the purples just pop, but I love the accent colors on the mask too. Or well, I should say the design of the mask, the hooks coming up in black and then the mouth part, and it just looks good. It's shadowy. It gives him a menacing kind of look, even though in the comics he was forced to do that kind of thing and wanted out. So it's a neat look that goes along with the storyline. I also like how the chest design is outlined in black, giving it that comic book feel. But then there's the different sheens to the purples. The gauntlets and the tubes around the wrist and the belt and the tubes around the boots are metallic because they're metallic-y. Didn't he modify window washing gear to make his costume or his gadgets, like the claws to allow him to climb things and the pneumatic although I don't remember what the boots, did they boost a little something? So it makes sense for the gloves to be metallic. The boots are matte along with the cape and the mask, because those are fabric. Those are supposed to bend around. I really like that contrast. It adds to the overall look. I went to go grab my old one to compare, and it wasn't in the display. I don't remember what I did with it, but comparing this to pictures, this one's definitely brighter. Now, neither of them's wrong. The old one, the more muted, darker color scheme is kind of cool, but I think I like this better, especially since I know where this figure is. It's got to be somewhere. The body's a bit odd though. It's not super jacked. It does have muscles. It is pinless at the elbows and knees. It has wrinkles in places, which is all cool. But for some reason, the knees look like they turn to the inside when you line up these muscles up here. Striations lined up, and there you go. The knees turn to the inside. They kind of bend that way, but then below that kick back out, and then the ankles are knobby. But you get it into some poses, and it does work. Of course, the cape could be cloth. It could be more dynamic, but that's not bad. I will say out of the package, this leg band was down around the ankle, and I could not get it to stay up. This one's fine, even after bending the knee and all that. So I hit this one with heat, jammed it up as far as I could, let it cool, and it seems to want to stay in place. It comes with a pair of fists, which I will never use because Prowler should have claws. Just bear it out. That's the best look for him. I also like this unmasked head. It works, but again, this design is so good. On the shelf it's gonna be like this. Maybe I'll find somewhere else to put this. I do believe Prowler is an older character, but man, when I think of Prowler, I think of that time when Spider-Man was dealing with Silver Sable and she was hiring some of his friends and enemies, and Sandman was running with her, and there was Prowler, and there was Will-O-the-Wisp, who we need, and Rocket Racer, who we need. And I think there was a few more, but Rocket Racer always jumps into my head when I think of Prowler and that era when I was reading the Spider-Man comics the most, I think, out of any era. So yeah, come on, Hasbro, we need more of those. I'm jumping into Professor X next because, oh, look at this exciting action figure. But getting another X-Men for the shelf makes everything better. And sure, it's just Professor X. It's a bald guy in green fatigues, in a green jumpsuit, but it's Professor X in a green jumpsuit. Now, I've bought a few of these already. Well, okay, a few makes it sound like I have a pile somewhere. I've bought 3, I think, because it's a nice plain body that I feel like I can use for other Marvel characters. Right off the bat, I'm thinking old school Fixer in the blues and greens before he became Techno. That's been on my custom list forever. I made one back in the day before Marvel Legends had a lot of fodder out there, but it's time for an update, and I think this may be the body to do it. It's got pockets, it's got the collar, it's got buttons, it's got the belt, it's got the wrinkles that bunch up above the plain-looking boots, have rolled up sleeves, rolled down gloves, the X tampos on the shoulders, and then this head sculpt. And look, it's not as creepy as the one that came with the Walmart Warlord Professor X. If I switch it out, which is easy to do, same ball joint, same socket size, same skin tones for the most part, it's a butt. If you want kind of a smiling Professor X, you can change that out. There's some heads that came with the set with the hover chair, but this is a serious Charles. This says Savage Land, but you can also use it in the hover chair or in other places. And I think this rounds out the Professor X figures for the most part. His most iconic looks, I guess. Because he's had quite the run in Marvel Legends, right? You know what we need? We need the yellow costume with the blue gloves and the X on it. Yeah, that's on the list. And I feel like that would be an easy custom, but I'm not gonna do it. Nope. He's got 2 fists and then 2 trigger finger hands for whatever reason. Are these leftovers from other bodies? Because I don't think my Professor X needs guns. Not when he has a Cerebro helmet. Does that... Damn, that is tight. Oh, it's snagging the ears. That's what's going on. And that looks really, really good. But you know that means you have to swap on... Uh-oh, the top of the gloves are a separate piece. I should have known that. That's standard Marvel Legends, but I get surprised every time. That's so you can swap in mind bullets. No, that's so you can get dramatic with your telepathy. It is an up and down hinge though, so maybe it is kind of weapon-like. Breaking out Cody, it is a bit difficult to tell the difference. Well, okay, that was one big one right there though. But at first impression, well, it's the same Cody. But it's not. Wham! We're gonna bring out the old one. I actually found this one. Pretty much a full update to a newer clone type body. You have the single elbows and knees, which make for a much cleaner look. It also has the separate elbow pads and knee pads. Well, single elbows aren't gonna get the range of doubles, but if you remember back, the elbows had that extra plastic piece in the middle, getting all in the way. So the new Cody actually has more range. Knees are about the same. Old Cody had a solid torso that did some bending. The new one has a under torso and then an overlay piece for the armor. So there is still movement, but there's more movement. Tilt. Not so much tilt. And then the oranges are slightly lighter. The old Cody is more brownish, more fancy mustard. This one's closer to your store-bought mustard. Old Cody's battle damage on the chest was sculpted in, though. This is just painted on. And I think, didn't we have a discussion about one of the newer figures not being reuse of the Cody torso because I didn't have any experience with the new? And that was one of the big reasons I got the new Cody, was because that brought on comments of, no, the new Cody isn't the same as the old one. And I thought, well, I better pick it up then. Any excuse to buy an action figure, huh? Oh, you know what that means? Then, of course, the old one didn't have a removable helmet. The new one, out of the package, has an exposed head, and it's pretty good. But that means there's a hollow helmet to go over the head, and I don't know. I've kind of looked at this, and there's not a huge amount of difference between the two, but you can see that this one is shaped slightly better. I think it's the visor, and I think it's the antenna sticking up back here. Although the one on this side is much smaller on the new one. This one's a bit more solid. Same for the antenna coming off the shoulder pad. The old one has a little silver paint to it, makes it pop. Really, on a shelf at a distance, if you display vanilla posed and don't bring it down much, then the old one should do you fine. But if you're doing some action shots or like to play around with your figures, some action poses, then it's worth picking up the new one. I have seen these heads swapped and then a repaint on the new one. I think it was Mr. Coffee on Monday Night Figure Ball that did it. The link will be in the description. And I may end up doing that here, just to spruce Cody up a bit. And that's for a future custom play day. It's still all planned. It's just different kinds of play days. But then, of course, Cody comes with a blaster. Oh, that looks tough. And then you do get a tiny little Emperor hologram. You can jam it into the grip hand, and it holds on. I'm not worried about this falling out on the shelf. Not today, Carpet Monster. Not today. I guess I don't mess with much NECA these days. My Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles collection is about where I want it to be. But I just had to add this shredder to the Archie collection. And there is a premium feel to it. You know how I'm always spraying some Mr. Hobby, Mr. Super Clear matte to things? This doesn't quite have the same plastic shine as a lot of other retail figures. Sure, it reflects the light, especially on the black paint, but it's not as in your face. It's not as glare heavy as the other figures we look at. I know that's a weird thing to jump right into, but that's what caught my eye. Again, because I'm so gotta dull everything down. I don't have that urge with this figure. I also don't do a lot of figures that simulate comic book art. Yes, I realized we just talked about that with the Prowler figure, but that's not normal with Hasbro and Marvel Legends, at least for the most part. When it comes to certain turtle lines, that's what it's all about. And they've gotten so good at it with the black panel lining for the edges. But what catches my eye even more are the reflection things just thrown in. That face mask is nowhere near being shiny, but because of this, it gives me the impression, it gives me the comic book impression of being shiny. But then the costume looks cloth because it doesn't have any of that, and they've added this comic book shading. And I know I've said comic book about 3 times rapid succession, but there's no other way to describe this. This bright white should make the spikes hard to see against the armor plate, but because of the lining right there, it stands out. It almost feels like it shouldn't work from different angles, but it does. You keep turning and the effect continues on. Plus, again, it has that metal sheen to it, simulated by just some simple blue paint thrown on. Some for shadow. And that's even inside the dark purple sash and drape. Just simple lines in random wrinkles and muscle striations. And I know he's not, well, okay, he is jacked, right? But you have it under here, that accentuates this muscle. Same with the legs, and then we get back to the armor plates with the spikes. I didn't even remember Shredder having white armor parts. It was just the color of the Archie comics. But now that I have this in figure form, this may be one of my favorite Shredders. The purple cape on back is nice. The way they've sewn it up here, it bunches up so it doesn't look like a Lego flat piece of fabric. It has some life to it. No wires. You can't get crazy dynamic, but it drapes perfectly. It does have a tendency to bunch up on the front though, so I have to kind of get it to lay back down. The shoulder pads are glued to the torso, and I have noticed when I swing the arm around, it kind of wants to tear them off. I don't know if that's glue residue, if it was glued there and I popped it off when I got too crazy with it, but I don't want to swing all the way up. So of course I grabbed this side and just, oh no, is it tabbed in? Maybe it is tabbed in, but it sure looks like it's supposed to be glued down right there, so I'm not gonna mess with that too much. Otherwise, the movement was pretty fluid all the way around for the neck and forward and back, and the elbows bending and the arms swinging up and out and around. The only problem, and I hate to even call it a problem because it just took a little heat, was getting the legs to rotate on the hip assembly. There's a ball coming out, but then there's a swivel that goes down into it. And out of the package, both legs were kind of pointing inside. Seems to be a trend this episode, doesn't it? Prowler! It's cape type characters. But I lifted this up, hit it with some heat, it loosened up, and now I'm able to put the knees in the correct position. Got your swivels, you have your ankles. Everything about this figure is nice. Looks great next to my Archie wrestler turtles. And yes, I brought out Raph, the best look of them all. Appropriate size, the aesthetic, the design work, the lines match up perfectly between the two. This is gonna be one hell of a display. Now I don't know the deal with Krang or not Krang, depending on the storyline being Shredder's head out of the package. I didn't read the Archie comics religiously. It was more of a see the cover over to the side when I was getting my comics on comic book day. So I did read a few, but storyline wise, plots, I don't know. Is there anything on the back of the package? No, there's just pictures. But it does show Shredder talking to a turtle, and then Krang or the Utrom or whatever being on the shoulder. So it works however you want to use it. Either as a head because it has a socket, or these tentacles are articulated, so you can bring them up a bit and put them down on the ground, and boom, another character for the display. Shredder also comes with more than a few hands. There's some grips, there is some fists, there are some open hands, but I think I'm gonna keep the bladed hands in, even if he does come with this badass looking staff. Same bright white. Ooh, twice in one episode. Oh, it looks good. But my Shredder don't need none of that. He's just a badass by himself. Well, okay, maybe I'll put him with this bonsai tree, because it's a bonsai tree. All right, here's two great tastes that go great together.
Reese's Peanut Butter Cup.
No, not that. It's Batman in cowboy gear. All right, it's just the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Jonah Hex with a bat logo painted on the chest, painted on the belt buckle, and then a new wonderful majestic head. It's Batman in a cowl with a cowboy hat. Howdy, partner. And it really does work for a Batman costume. The gray shirt, the black undershirt, the black bat logo, little gold peeking out, more gray, black boots. And did I mention a cowboy hat? What happens if I flatten that out just slightly? It looks okay, but I also like the rolled up look. What's it look like under the jacket? Just a gray sleeve, and it'd probably look fine without that. But I think the jacket is the icing on top, but also not the greatest part of this figure. Again, like Cody, you get back and it looks pretty good. It's a blue duster, but then you get up on it and then you realize it's just kind of a leathery, fake leather, soft on the inside, smooth on the outside piece of material. It's flat. Now there is some seams thrown in there, so you do get some folds and a little bit of wrinkles, and then this over the top works really well. The collar sticking up here, folded down. Where it runs into trouble is the rest of the collar piece. And at first I thought, well, that's weird flaps just going to the inside, but these are supposed to be bent out like that, but this thing just does not do that. Can I get it to fold to actually stay bent? Do I need to do something to? No, it just keeps flapping over. If I could get it to stay like this, I would be okay with it, but my other gripe is it's Cowboy Batman and it comes with a Batarang. It's okay, I guess, nice shape. But my cowboy needs guns, especially when there is a trigger finger hand. Two trigger finger hands, which isn't too weird for McFarlane Toys. They've given a lot of superheroes trigger finger hands for absolutely no reason. But, well, I was gonna say for a character that does use, I don't know if this Batman uses guns. It's still Batman. Even in cowboy mode, is he against the use of firearms? I don't know, I'd have to read the story, which is probably on the back of the package. Or the trading card. Nope, that doesn't tell me anything other than, hey, Batman and Superman's going to other universes to try to stop some kind of world-changing event. It does give me another glimpse at Cowboy Batman and makes me yearn for a DC Multiverse Superman in this same style, in this exact look. Come on, Todd, give it to us. You know you want to. So yeah, a couple of drawbacks, mostly 1 and 2, but overall, a fun action figure. Alright, the Marvel Legends Dark Avengers Captain Marvel is pretty much what we saw with Warbird, but I sure do love this costume. No, it's not the super classic Captain Marvel look with more exposed skin and slight changes in places, but this is a pretty dang good Dark Avengers Captain Marvel. Or Warbird. Did they call her Warbird in Dark Avengers? I guess I didn't read a lot of that story. You've heard that several times, right? I didn't read a lot of those comics, but I sure do like the designs. I know that this wasn't Carol. This was Moonstone, right? Dressed up as Captain Marvel, which was the whole premise of Dark Avengers. Kind of that Thunderbolts flavor. I love this head sculpt with the more neutral hair. Now, it has some flips to it. It has some flow, but it's not as flowy, it's not as windswept as the alternate head. I also like the slight wash to it, or dry brush, or whatever they did here to bring out the sculpted detail. This scarf piece is also nifty. It's more of a, well, is it attached? Is it glued down? No. But it does have a hoop in it, so when you put it down over the neck, it's not just gonna fly off. Because at first, I thought it was just going up around the front and then around back, and I thought, well, you get posing around, that thing's just gonna fling off, but no, it stays in place. Otherwise, the rest of the costume is just painted on, which works for the most part, especially for something unique like this. You're not gonna get a lot of reuse out of boots that angle up here. If you were to sculpt the seams on, it would just be for the Dark Avengers Captain or Warbird or whatever we're calling her. Same goes for the gloves, angling like this, some of the design elements of the costume. But while I like this, in fact, I kind of love it, the blacks and the darker reds, I still want a super classic Carol in a similar costume with the blues and the lighter reds. I'm also really liking this body. When we first got the classic Warbird, or well, the first Warbird, I thought, well, why is she so small compared to a lot of the other females? But now that we have a few jeans and now this one in this costume, I don't mind whatsoever. It's a good look with the pinless elbows and the pinless knees for those of you who care. The proportions, and I know this is a lot of personal preference, but I like the lower ab hinge. You can crunch to there and then just kind of bring it a little further with the dumbbell joint at the mid-torso. It feels more natural to spin up here on the top instead of down at the waist. The waist is for crunching. I also like this skin tone. This is a good look for Warbird, Captain Marvel, Moonstone. I mentioned the alternate head. There's also a set of our standard Marvel Legends female power-wielding hands, and then the power effects we have seen more than a few times. But I like that you can do different things with them. You can flip them to the outside, you can put them around the wrist, you can put them all the way around the arm, you can spin them around, you can put them up, you can put them down. There's options. Just however you want to use them. And don't be going down to the comment section saying you put those on the wrong arm or around on the wrong way. We'll have none of that here. This is play day. It's for playing. Have a ball. Not the buffest of figures, but does look tough. And if you thought I wasn't gonna get an updated Range Trooper, what channel have you been watching? Okay, well, I haven't broke out Gus near as much in recent times as I have in the past, but it's still Gus. He's given me years of joy. So another one that has some modifications to it or some changes, yeah, gimme. Well, aren't we just fancy as all hell? How can I get a new set of britches? Actually, it would be just swapping the head. Yeah, there you go. Look at me, just running like a youngin'. While I have the heads off, I'm gonna point out that the original Range Trooper's fur collar thing is more round. The new one is cut out on the back and it's longer side to side. It flares out over the shoulders more. And there's a huge difference in the legs. Well, okay, wait. The upper legs are the same, I think. No. The armor plate goes all the way to the inner thigh. This one cuts down and shows more pants. So it's new leg from the thigh swivel down, because below the knee, it's obviously different. The original Range Trooper had these big armor things on the calves, on the shins. This has more traditional looking armor. Then the first had almost robot feet with these hinges and the squared off look. This one's a shoe with a plate of armor going up and over. Still angular as all hell and clunky, but definitely different. Above the waist though, same arms, same torso, same neck joints, same overlays to the crotch, and same plastic cloth with bands going down around the legs. And even though this new one looks more agile, it's still caught up in those plastic hoops. You can't bring the leg further up than this. There's a split in the back, but this thing doesn't flex forward, especially where that band is. So it hits right. Oh, well, okay, I got a little more right there, but not much. Different damage to the chest plate, but less pain in places, like here on the arm. And then, what did I see a minute ago? Oh, on those thigh plates, you get to here, you can see no paint. This one has a little black in the middle. Then I couldn't tell you the difference in helmets because this one's been gone for a long, long time. This has been Gus for years and years. Now that I put the collars back on, this one does feel a bit more natural. Gus's was always sticking up. This one lays down a bit better. The ankles aren't the tightest. I go to put them down and he likes to kick around a bit. You got to find that center of balance, get them standing. Essentially, the new one is leaner and cleaner. That and very well armed, although slow to load. When we saw him in Andor, he gave it his best, but just wasn't fast enough. And holy shit, when I first opened it, I thought there's no way he's gonna hold this. And it's not exactly on the shoulder. Maybe if I bring the arm around a little bit, that's better. But that's not shabby. That's way, way more natural looking than I thought it would be. But there's no way he's gonna be able to crouch down. The best he can do is action stance. Still, not shabby for an armored up character. Do I need to upgrade Gus though? Or should I just keep him clunky and chunky from the knee down? It kind of fits at this point. We'll see. What in the hell do you mean, we'll see? You better get me some new britches or I'll be causing a ruckus. Then finally there's this, and now that I have it out of the package, I don't know why I waited so long to upgrade my Marvel Legends Venom. I mean, the one I had before was this one, and side by side, there's not really a contest. This old one's definitely seeing its age. It's got some floppiness to the knees, the arms wouldn't go straight down, the head, for whatever reason, doesn't want to look down. Stop it, Eddie. Stop it. Oh, you better look down. Nope. And while the proportions are okay, it's a big buff guy. He's still larger than Spider-Man. This new one put next to him, especially with the monster tongue, that looks a bit better. And I think it's the Maximum Spider-Man that made me finally think, why don't I have this? Just get it. And if you're wondering why my Spider-Man isn't as shiny and you missed that review, we talked about it earlier. I absolutely love my Mr. Hobby, Mr. Super Clear Matte. I'm still trying to get that sponsorship. Come on, Mr. Hobby. Oh, actually, now that I have this out, does Venom need some dulling down? I don't know. When I think of Venom, I think of oily and kind of shiny, and it's a nice contrast against the fabric-clad Spider-Man. So maybe I'll just leave him glaring it up. I wouldn't exactly call this Maximum Venom, but he has most of the same beats as Maximum Spider-Man. There is the floating torso joint, there is the low crunch, the hinge at the waist, butterfly joint forward and back, quite a bit forward and back. Ball joint at the hip does kick up to about right there, which isn't bad for a big bulky bastard. Can get crunched down, but it's running into some of the same problems we've seen with other recent figures, and that's the dumbbell joint at the neck. I'm gonna have to get in here and cut some out of the back so this bar has some clearance to go up more. Because while you can get them into a leaping stance or coming out of the between buildings at Spider-Man, you can't get him looking forward. While I have absolutely nothing against the long ass tongue coming out, and this is really well done, it's exaggerated, but out of the way. It doesn't really impede anything. My personal preference is more of the McFarlane look. This will stay on mine because it's just that old school covers around issue 300. I can't remember the exact issue, but yeah, this feels very McFarlane-esque. Maybe larger than Todd's Venom, but the feel is there. The vibe. Like I always say, there's something to a black and white costume, especially one as nicely designed as this. And when it comes to this figure, one as nicely painted as this. Now there may be a scuff or two here and there, and the lines do go up in... That's odd that they painted the lines here with the shoulders jutted forward. I feel like it should have been in a more natural, neutral position and then paint the lines on. That way, if you have it on the shelf looking all good like this and you pick it up and turn it around, the lines should be here. But then it would have been on the edge. And then when you go forward, yeah, just keep the white going down into it and the lines would just be out here. I think that's better than the lines missing altogether and screwballing that back logo. I mean, it's a figure. Anything you do, you pose it, and it's on the front too. You pose them to the side like this. Crack! We haven't perfected unstable molecules for action figures yet, where the plastic would stretch over the skeleton inside. But, I don't like that. But that is just one thing. Okay, another thing. You have the new torso with the new articulation, but then you have older limbs, which isn't really bad. I don't care about pins showing. You get to the arms and they're veiny. It starts up here, vein, and then you get down to the lower arm and it just gets kind of monstrous with the veins, and then exaggerated hands with the claws, which I do feel is a very Venom thing. I just wish the overall body was more consistent from the bottom of the feet to the top of the head. And I think we're seeing that with the upcoming Gamerverse Captain America versus Venom. In the blue, I think it's got some different parts to make it more consistent. Maybe. Or maybe I made that up in my head. Maybe I was justifying that purchase other than, ooh, Captain America, I need that. There's also a set of fists where you can see a bit of claw on the thumb, but I'm going to keep these in. It may have sounded like I was griping about them a minute ago, but I wasn't. It's just Venomy. I'm going to eat your brain. So at the end of the day, any day you get to play is a good damn day. Nothing too earth-shattering here, just opening up some toys that I had in the box that add to the shelves that I'm going to add them to. I think that makes sense. Cowboy Batman's cool, but not really the start of a new shelf. It's just another Batman that I just happen to love because look at that cowboy hat. The Range Trooper and Cody are nice additions to the Star Wars shelf. Again, it's just kind of filler and a replacement, but not bad at all. Prowler's definitely going on the shelf. Even in this group shot, the greens and the purples, especially the purple, just stands out. And Venom's an excellent upgrade. This'll be my display Venom. Hasbro's been making a mad dash with the Dark Avengers, so of course this is welcome. I don't know if I needed another Professor X, but I'm okay with another Professor X. Need is such a strong term. You know, sometimes you just want. And wanting's okay. The surprise, or I guess the reminder that NECA kills it with TMNT is Shredder. It's such a nice figure. I am so happy I went ahead and picked it up. Because I wasn't gonna. In fact, like I said, I wasn't gonna get Cody. I had passed on Prowler, being pretty happy with the one I had. Same with Venom. This is the comeback around wave, I guess. Well, I was always gonna get Professor X, and as soon as I saw Cowboy Batman, I thought, oh, that's mine. But the rest was, even Warbird / Moonstone / Captain Marvel. I thought, well, I have the Carol Danvers Warbird, and I've always loved that costume with the black and yellow. Do I really need this? And then I started building some of the other Dark Avengers, and of course, I was going to come back around. So what this is a wait and see play day. That's what I did with a lot of these figures. And there ain't nothing wrong with that. Priorities. I got the stuff I really wanted, and then I hit a lull, and I thought, well, I haven't bought anything in the past 2 days. I better grab something. I have to fill that hole in my soul. I have to strum those nostalgia strings a little bit. And that's how I end up with things like this. Things I didn't know I want or needed, but pleasantly surprised once I got them out of the package. That's where we are. Have yourselves a play day. Bye.